The next one is the summarize function. So what is summarize function? So let me just go here in the Microsoft site and summarize. I need to update my PowerPoint. The previous PowerPoint I missed out. Hence, I rely on the Microsoft site. Look here, this is the syntax. First argument is a table, and second argument is group by column name. So these are things. And we have summarize columns, summarize and summarize columns. And then here we need to specify the group by column name. And one more thing is, yesterday I told you, when I look at the summarize column and table, one second, direct query. So in the intro, they'll ask you in the direct query mode, which all DAX functions you cannot use it. Look here, this function, summarize column function is not supported for use in direct query mode when used in calculated column. If you use it in a table, it will work. But or if you use it in a measure, it will work. But if you use it in a calculated column or row level security rules, you cannot use it. So this question, was posed by one, one gentleman whom he spoke to me today morning. So which all DAX functions, or tell me the DAX functions which will not work in direct query mode. You can tell summarize columns. You can say add column, right? These are the examples you can tell. And anyhow, I will compose everything, the up-to-date questions from all the students, and then I will share all the, the questions. Those questions will definitely help you to crack the interview, okay, for sure. And also in my channel, I will share other link also, okay, and wherein you can see the interview questions, everything. Fine, we'll start with understanding the summarize function quickly. I just go here and let me just open my other working copy of a file here. One second, let me. So what I will do is I will just go to the here measures table. Summarize, did I write anything? No, nothing is there. Okay, fine. I will write it from the scratch. And the summarize function takes the table as an argument and return value, a table with selected column, group by column arguments, and the summarize function designed by the. So it will return a table. Which one? The summarize function. Okay. And what I will do is I just go here and I will use the, I'll create one table here. Let's see what happens here. Okay, here what I am going to do is I'm going to say summarize ex1 is equivalent to summarize of the first argument is your table. In this case, the sales W04, I'm going to use it. And then next step is press Alt and Enter to go to the next line. Okay, here what I do is sales W04. And here I use the region here. And then comma, press Enter. Here, what I do is I just give total sales. Okay, here I just press enter and I do like this. Okay. So what is this first argument? First argument is your second. I just remove it, the parenthesis, and recreate. So the first argument is your table name. And then second one is the group by column, which column you want to group. So how many of you remember in the case of Power Query Editor, I explained you how to do group by, right? So the same thing here. Okay, the group by column name, which column, and then the next one is the name. The sum of total sales. One second, I need to close this one. I want to do a sum of the total on. I want to do some total on this column. For this, I have used the function by the name of sum. So what will happen is if I don't give any column name for this sum, it will give some a blank value. Okay, some a meaningless column name, right? So here first you need to specify the table name, which table you want to use it, and which column you want to do group by, and then tell me the aggregation function or the summarizing function, the sum function I want to use it. So I just press enter. Let me see if this works fine. I have created a table here. And what I will do is I will just copy this one second. See, now I did not get any error. Fine. And the summarize EX1. Look here on the right side, you can see that as soon as I pressed enter, since there was no error, the summarize EX1 table got created. And if you expand this one, you can see the region wise total sales by. And if you want to see the data, you can go to the data view. And from here, you can see the each region, what is the total sales. So in each region, so many transactions happen. It did the totaling for the entire East region related transactions, and it gives the sum of sales in East region, sum of sales in Oceania and Africa, West, and all these places. It gives you the sum of sales. Using summarize function, you can you can do the aggregation, group by. You can do the group by. And let us do one thing. I just try the measure here. And if I use it here and press enter, what will happen is, look here, the expression refers to multiple columns. Multiple columns cannot be converted to a scalar value. If you are a beginner, you will get confused. Sometimes I use the new measure. Sometimes I use new column. This you know very well. It's a calculated column. Fine. If you want to create any new column in addition to the existing columns, then we create the calculated column. And the next one is the new table. Sorry, new measure. New measure. New. You will get confused. Which one should I use when? So in that kind of situation, the best option is the Microsoft website. Okay, you can go and check. And instead of going through, a lot of blogs are available. It's really good. But still some blogs are having outdated information, because every once in 2 months Microsoft is releasing new features in the new versions. Okay, so it's better you can go to the Microsoft site and then refer it here. And if you see the return value table, so if anything returns table, then obviously you can go and create table. So beyond all the things, right, you have something called DAX Studio. DAX Studio is super cool open source tool. And look here, this is a free software. You don't have to pay even a single pie. And you can go to the Google and then type download DAX Studio. You can also do it side by side now. You can go to Google, Chrome, and then here you just type download DAX Studio. Click on this. See, now the latest version is available. If you click on this one, it will take here, and the first one, you just click on the first one, DAX Studio 3.0 for setup.exe. I just, for the sake of you, I just do it one more time. And here what I do is, I just download it here. And then what I do is show in folder. And then here it is there, right? You just click on it. That's all. It is pretty much simple to install the DAX Studio. Click on run. That's all. It will take some time to, it will not take much time. Okay. It will ask, DAX Studio, go click on next. Don't select the default one. You go by the default. Don't select anything. Simply hit the next button, install. That's it. When you click on install, it'll take some time to install it. It will not take much time. Okay. Now the question is, what is DAX Studio? So now I joined for Power BI training. Why you are asking me to install DAX Studio? Because if you want to write any DAX queries, you can use DAX Studio. It's pretty simple writing it here. Look here, in my case, I already installed it. I just, after you installing it, right? So go to the start button, you just type, next to that, you just type DAX Studio, and then you will find the icon here. Either you can click on it or click on open. Once you click on this one, it will open the DAX Studio like this. Okay. And in here, you will find something like tabular server and PBI SSDT model. Okay. So here what I do is we are not using tabular server. So what is say tabular server? SSAS. And what we will do is we will click on Power BI here because we are using Power BI. So we are telling the DAX Studio to connect to my Power BI report. Okay. Here I have opened a lot of reports here. Look here, if I go here, I have opened a lot of reports. Which report I want to connect? I want to connect to the top N thing. So then what you do is you go and click on the drop down menu here. And then here you will find the very top N. This is the one. Okay, that's all. That's it. You just click on connect. Here you will see all the tables that you used it in your top N function are available here. Now the DAX Studio got connected to this report file, top N rank summarize. And what are the tables that use it? What are all tables that use it? That will be visible here. And if you see here the sales W04, and if you right click on it, and if you want to see the preview the data, you click on the preview data. Look here, it shows all the data here. It queries this one. Try to be familiar with DAX Studio also. They will be, the employers will be very much impressed if you say that you work with DAX Studio also. So and you can see the results here and then output, you can see something whether this query got executed successfully or not. Okay, and don't get confused with this top N. This top N is SQL queries top N. Okay. Okay, and the if you have any error while executing this one, you will find some error. Since I did not type anything here, simply I just clicked on it here, right clicked on it, preview data, I did it. That's all. It automatically generated the script. And then the output, if you click on the results, you can see it here. And then query history also, you can find it here. Okay, how much time it took to execute this query to bring up the data. Okay. Fine. So next one is summarize EX1, the example. So this is what we created the table. Look here, preview data. If I click, give this one here, it shows me the output of this query. It shows me the output of the query. Okay. And for example, if I don't want to see the output of the query, but I just want to see the columns that are part of this query, right? Output of this query, region and totals. Look here, region and totals. What are the columns are there in this query, right? The output of this query. So now I just right click on it. Show object, define all measure here. Okay, what I will do is I just go here and then I just click on the summarize thing. I just take this one and I just paste it here. And then what I will do is I just give some other see here what you need to do is in the case of DAX Studio, you're not supposed to give like this. Okay, delete it. And then the first command is supposed to be evaluate. And then summarize. And then what you do is at the end, you just give, that's all. Okay. And okay. So now what we will do is, sorry, here you need to give the parenthesis, open parenthesis, and then the closed parenthesis. You need to specify it here for the evaluate. Okay. Inside the evaluate, we have done it. Click on the run. Look here, it got executed. If you want to test your DAX query, which you wrote it in your Power BI desktop, you can copy paste it here. Now the question is, I'm able to write it here. So why should I use the same thing here? There are two different advantages using the DAX Studio. Here, whether you create a measure or whether you create a table, so with a calculated table, right? So this is a calculated table. Okay, summarize function. This summarize function, we can use it in the calculated table. So what is the calculated table? Modeling ribbon, click on it, click on the new table. This is where I typed it, right? I did not use measure. For the beginner, they'll get confused. Is this summarize? Should I use the new table or should I use the new measure? Right? So instead, what to do is you can better go to DAX Studio. You can test it everything. Here, you don't have to go different places. to create a measure, you don't have to go different place. If you want to create a calculated measure, you want to create a calculator table, everything you can do it in a single place. It's not like, so going back and forth here and here, you will get confused, right? So you don't have that confusion. Plus, the other advantage of this one is, look here, you can see the server timings, how long it takes the query to execute. So in this case, the volume of the data is very less. And look here, I just click on it one more time. Okay, so the moment when I clicked on it, what happened? The server time, you can see additional column got created here. The server timings. And here, if I click on this, you will see this one. So the total, how many milliseconds it took to execute this query. And then what is the SE? SE stands for storage engine. This stands for formula engine. You remember, as part of the DAX introduction session, we discussed about the storage engine and the formula engine. The moment you create a measure and when you drag and drop it, what happens is the formula engine processes your queries and it generates the query plan, and then that query plan will be sent to a storage engine, because formula engine cannot fetch the data directly from your data, right? So from the data set, it cannot get the data. Hence, he has to rely on this guy. Say, hey, go and get the data for me. So he has to talk to the storage engine. Storage engine has to go and get the data and pass the data cache back to your formula engine. That is what is it. How much time the formula engine takes in order to accept your query and process your query, generate the query plan, and right. So for that, how much time it takes, and right. So that we can see it. And then after it does that job, right, the query plan will be submitted to the storage engine. Storage engine, based on upon receiving the query plan from the formula engine, it is processing the relevant data and then send it back to this guy. How much time storage engine takes to get the generate the data and send it back to formula engine, you can understand by looking at it. In this case, 0 milliseconds, because oddly we have very less number of records are there. And if you find the more time here, so what you can do is you can go one step further and click on the query plan. So in the query plan, you can see something called logical plan and physical query plan. Okay, you can see something like this. So for this, you need to enable something like this, load performance data. So not this one. We can refresh metadata, or what I will do is I'll just run it one more time. So best thing is you select the values, press F5. Okay, in your keyboard, if you press F5, the query will get generated. Either you can click on the run button, or you can select it and press F5 keyboard. If you're a keyboard person, you can use F5. Look here, you can see the physical query plan and you can see the logical query plan. This requires a lot of experience for you people to interpret this one. But if you master this, it's like they will you will become a more sought after person. Okay. And this is very good if you understand this plan. Okay, what is the physical query plan, logical query? It's nothing but how the DAX query access the data. What are the steps it carries out in order to fetch the data from your data set. That is what it tells you. Okay, and physical query plan, logical query plan also, right? You can interpret. So with the help of this one, we can understand how efficiently our query is fetching the data. This is very common. The query plan, physical query plan, logical query plan, it's common in RDBMS, like SQL Server also. You rewrite this SQL query. And when they write the SQL query, for example, if I ask you to do the same thing, I want you to write a SQL query to give to display the sales breakdown by region. Okay. So in that case, you can write a SQL query instead of writing like this. Okay. What is the equivalent command for SQL query? I just write it here. From the sales W04. And here what I do is group by. There is something called group by command that is available in SQL Server. Okay, SQL Server also group by region. Here we need to specify sales W04 of region, something like that. Okay, it's pretty simple. So this is the equivalent command for this DAX query. If you write the same SQL query in DAX query, use the summarize function. Inside the summarize function, we specify the table name, sales W04. Look here, the from clause, whatever is there in the from clause, that is the one is the first argument. And second one is, which column you want to group by, region column. And then what you want to do. So after you grouping once you do the group by with the region column, what you want, I want to find out the total sales by region, sum of sales. I want to take the sum or average or min or max. These are the aggregation function. Okay. So the sum, the equivalent to sum of sales is already available here, sum of this one. Okay. But here what we do is, this is something like alias. So those of you already have a little bit knowledge in SQL query, you should be able to understand this. Total sales. Okay, this is what your SQL query. So what I do is I just put the comment here. The comment here is the double forward slash. Okay, let me do one thing. I just use this one. Double hyphen is a comment. Okay. Okay, so this is the SQL query for your reference sake. I just go back to the results here. So the output of this query, let's say this data is available in SQL Server, if you use the query, it will produce the same output. Okay, the same query, right? How you write it in DAX query, using summarize function, we can write it. And here I have used the total sales for this sum column. If I don't use the total sales, what will happen? It will give something. I don't think so it will work here. Yeah, syntax error. Look here, syntax error. Okay, as well. But in the case of SQL Server, you don't have to give the alias. As stands for alias. Okay, total sales here. If you don't give this, what will happen is the output will be something like the region here, something like sum of sales. That is not the preferred one. When you share it with the management, you need to give the report with the meaningful column name. Don't say sum of sales, or it doesn't look good, right? That's the reason why we give the meaningful column name followed by the aggregation function using as, right? Followed by the as is a reserved word here in the case of SQL query. As per the SQL query, I'll explain all the things, don't worry. So here, this alias, we have given it here. That's all, guys. If you know SQL query, and you can understand this very easily. Okay, fine. Anyhow, even if you don't have SQL background, I explained, with this you should be able to understand. Fine. So now with this, you are able to check the query performance also. In the interview, they'll ask you, how did you do the performance tuning? So I use the DAX Studio. Using this DAX Studio, what we do is we have written the query, DAX query, and we just execute it there, and then we check the server timings, and then we check the query plan. And if the server timings is too high, okay, so what we do is we'll try to rewrite the DAX query, and then we will test it. And apart from this, in Power BI, we have something called performance analyzer. Okay, and here you have a view, right? So in the view, you have something called performance analyzer. Okay, so what it does is, for example, I just quickly tell you that one now. And here I just create the table visual again. And here I just go here and select the country and profit. I just drag and country profit breakdown by country, and then the sales also. Okay. Okay, you created the visual, but how long it takes to populate the data in this visual? See, in this case, it is pretty faster. The volume of the data is very less here. When you have huge volume of the data, even if you drag and drop it, you will find blank here. It will take longer time to display the data here. Remember that. So in that case, and also, right, you would have created some measures and you would have dragged and dropped that. In that measure, you have used some DAX function. So what will happen is, in that case, that DAX function, you did not write it in a much optimized manner. It will take longer time to display it. It will take a lot of memory, CPU to process or to perform the computation. So what you need to do is just rewrite the DAX query. It's something like before and after, right? So when you go for some cosmetic treatment, right? before cosmetic treatment, after cosmetic, same thing, right? After you rewrite your DAX query, first what you do is just select your visual and click on the performance analyzer and then start recording. And then what we do is refresh visuals. Click on the refresh visuals. Look here, it's a table visual. It displays the type of the visual. And when you expand this one, you can see the DAX query 12 and visual display to display the data, right? It took 130 millisecond. Look at the duration, millisecond. And others, it took 112. And DAX query was actually, took, 12. And you can copy the query also. For example, once you copy it, see here, we did not write any DAX query. But behind the scene, let's see what is happening. When I paste it here, look here, this is what is happening, guys. According to us, we just dragged and dropped this. Behind the scene, the Power BI, it generates this function. It's very difficult, right, to understand. The define, this is a variable, okay, and then summarize columns. Anyhow, we'll discuss about summarize columns now, right after this. And then it generates this one. You want to see the query generated. And when you see this one, okay, this is the query has been generated, right? So how do I, now you can check the time also here. So now what you do is you can create on a copy paste the same thing. And then what you do is here I have used the sales column. I just remove the sales column. Let me just see. I'm going to use total sales. And this is sum of sales. Sum of sales, a measure already we created it. I just use the same thing. Okay, it is not going to make much difference. So now what we do is we stop the performance analyzer. Now we have two tables, right? We have two tables. And then what I do is I just select start recording. So what I do is I clear everything first. Okay, I just stop it and then I will start it from the scratch. Start recording. Recording started now. And then you need to refresh the visuals. Look here, two tables are there. In my report cannot do it automatically finds the table. Table 1 takes 461 milliseconds. Table 2 takes 833 milliseconds. When you expand this one, you'll get the detail here. So table DAX query takes just 34 seconds, whereas here the visual display, takes 25 to 215, and other is 212. And the, what is other? Other is something like the processing or DAX query, whether the DAX query generated by Power BI is optimal one or something, right? And then any syntax error, and then it generates the query plan, everything. Okay, for that it takes, the other is that one. Another thing is like a network and all. Okay, so here 56 382. So with this, what we can understand is compared to this table visual, this visual is both of them are producing the same output, but this guy is faster. It's something like you recruit two employers and you ask them, you give the same task to both guys. Now, both of them are completing the task. The output is same, but compared to person A, person B is doing much faster. Okay, and he takes, he is not using much resources. They optimally using the resources, and also he processed much faster. That is the whole idea of this one. And then I just copy the copy query, click on it, and let's see here what is happening. We did not do anything, right? So everything is same. And if you see here, both of them look similar. He's granted to some profit, everything. And where country one, everything is evaluate order by. Here also it is doing order by. Here also it is doing order by. Any difference? You can see it here. We don't see any difference between these two, right? You don't see anything. But now the question is then why both of them? So again, you need to click on the. So don't go first. In the first attempt itself, don't make any decision. And refresh visuals, like how you right. So we will refresh it one more time, and yeah, when we refresh it multiple time, even after refreshing multiple, right? Look here, when I selected this one, this is the table 1 522, and table 2 took 1000 milliseconds. Consistently, when I executed multiple time, we can see that table 1 is the performance is faster. Look here, when I click on this, visual, this one gets highlighted. So both of them are table, you will get confused. Hence, you click on this one, the corresponding table will get highlighted here. This one will get highlighted here. So when you see both, right, these two tables, the current table, once again, this is the current table. This is the current table, right? So sorry, let me do one thing. I just select on this one, and the second one is this one, right? So these two table, if you see, the first one is doing good job. So now what we do is we just look at this one, why the first one is doing it, right? So it will take some time for us to analyze it. Because first time when you execute it, what will happen is it has to read the data and all the things, right? Second time, what will happen is the data will get cached in the memory. Once the data get cached in the memory, and then if you create these other table, and in that table, if you execute it first time, again when you execute it, both of them will take time, okay? Because it has to read the data from your hard disk and then it has to load it into memory. But once it load it into memory, it will be faster. Right. So other thing is, with the help of in the interview, they'll ask you, how did you make sure that your report is faster? Did you face any performance related issue? Yes, we use performance analyzer. With that, we analyze it. Whichever visual takes longer time to populate the data, for that visual, what we do is we use the performance analyzer and we'll go and check it. So in the millisecond, where the problem is. So whether supposing you are using SQL server, right? So in this case, we are using Excel file. If you are using a SQL server, what will happen is the query will be the DAX engine. The formula engine generates the query plan. That query plan will be sent to your SQL server. And then from the SQL server, the query will get executed. The output of the query will be sent back from your SQL server to Power BI visual. The back and forth from your Power BI to SQL server, from SQL server to back networking. If your network bandwidth is not good, it will slow down your performance. The query result, the output of your query is returning, or the query returns more number of records. So in that kind of situation, it requires more network bandwidth. A lot of factors are involved. Apart from all these things, right? So first we check this one, if this visual takes longer time to display the data. So if you, even after you drag and drop the columns, you don't see any data here. And then it takes a lot of time to display the data. So in that case, it requires some treatment. So what kind of treatment? Just go and select the performance and then check it out. And then what you do is you try to rewrite it here, okay? And see if you can rewrite with some other DAX measure. Let's assume that in this you have use some DAX measure, right? And here also use some other DAX measure. So, but both the DAX measure, whatever the formula that used in DAX query, both of them are producing the same output. Of these two DAX queries, which DAX query is best? Which function is really performing faster? Okay, that and all we will discuss it later. First, understand what is performance analyzer. Fine. Using which we can do benchmarking. We use a term called benchmarking. So, same visual, we copy paste it, and then we will analyze. We will rewrite the logic, okay, and the measure. Say we take the measure and then we rewrite the logic, or we use some other function, okay, right? And then with that function, we will check it out, right? So how fast this one is. So basically, I want to compare, right? So after rewriting my DAX query, before rewriting my DAX query, it's like before cosmetic, after cosmetic, right? So you just click on the performance and start recording, and then you just see any improvement. Let's say you made some changes to your DAX query, and then if you see any improvement, right? Something like this table takes lesser time. And look here, now I selected, let me just select this one. Either you can select this one or this one, okay? Or if you select this one, if you select this one, first one, 413 on this one. And if you see the lesser milliseconds, then it is faster, okay? Then the visual display also matters, okay? If the visual display takes lesser time, it is good, okay? Fine. So just, this is, I just discussed at the 100 feet height, okay, just high level. In how do you, in case of any performance related issues, let's say your visual takes longer time to load the data or populate the data. So what we do is, so the answer is, what we do is we take the same visual, we duplicate the visual, and then what we do is whatever the DAX query that I used it in the measure. So what I'll try to rewrite it with different function, and then I compare. Okay, so again we come. So with this function and with this function, what is the performance? Okay, so with this function, new function, or the way I have rewritten it, right? If it takes lesser time to populate the data, then this is the best one. Okay, now going back to this one, right? Fine. The summarize, we can do that. And in summarize itself, I'll just quickly speed it up now. The summarize, what we will do is we have something called roll-up function. So what I will do is I just use something called roll-up. And if you don't know the syntax, you just type the first two letters, or else the best option is you keep this open. Okay, and which one? This one. So almost all the companies, right, they allow you to access the manual and all. Though they don't allow you to access the Gmail, all the things, right? The companies, they allow you the manual thing. So you can go and check the summarize table and roll up, right? So group by column and roll up, you can use it. And what I do is I'll demonstrate you how to use the roll up as part of your summarize function itself. The next line, what I do is I just do the sales W04. And then what I do is, instead of doing this one, I just say comma here. And then here what I do is I just explain you, don't worry, you just watch now. Row count, comma. I'm going to use a count function. Instead of using sum all the time, it's boring. I'm going to use count, the sales of any other column, yeah, order ID, I will use it. I just want to see the segment subtotal. I'll explain it, don't worry. Okay. Is subtotal. There is another function called is subtotal. See, maximum, if you learn 30 DAX function, that is enough. You can manage the interview. You can do wonders. Or I will do anything. Is subtotal, sales W04 and segment. There is a column called segment. Okay, fine. And the next one is, I'm going to remove all these things. I don't need this one. For roll up, I entered here, and summarize and evaluate. One more thing. For evaluate, followed by the evaluate, we have the open parenthesis. For this, we need to have a corresponding close to parenthesis. And for this one, look here, when I click on this, we have already mentioned the closed parenthesis. Wherever you have opened one, right? So you should make sure that there is a corresponding closed parenthesis there. And inside the summarize function, the roll up, I'm going to use the roll up. This is a little bit advanced one. Okay, you click on run. Let's see if this works fine. And I just go to the result and see, yes, it's working fine. No syntax error, nothing. So in this case, what happens is, we have done the group by on the region and segment. So initially, we just did the group by on region only. Okay, region only. So now what we did, we have used the combination of region and segment. And then the advantage of roll up is, it gives you the total, okay, the subtotal. For example, in the East region, in the consumer segment, corporate, there are three segments, right? Consumer, corporate, home office. In each region, these three segments, how many rows or how many transactions we made, how many number of orders we received it, right? And in the East region, row count is 1, it shows false. Okay, and let me just go down here. So somewhere true, we need to look at this. I just show you. Don't worry, I'll explain you shortly. Look here. So here, the East 1174. So what it says is, of all these three segments put together, what is the total number of orders we received? So almost 600, 900, 1,000, right? So 1,01174. That is what we say. 8 plus 5 is 13. Plus 1, yeah, 14. Even this record is also there somewhere. Okay, some blank record is there, because of which it is giving this one. So 14 and 1 and 10, 17. That's what 7, right? Yeah, 7, 4. That's all. So what happens is when you use a row lab, it gives you the grand total for each group at the end, or we can say the subtotal. Sorry, the subtotal for each group. Okay, subtotal. Okay, and so here I just go to the help here. Roll up group by column name. Okay, group by column name. So what is the group by? So I want to group it based on the combination of these two columns, region and segment. You group it, and then each region in the corresponding segment, how many number of orders we received it, you count it, and then display it, and then at the end of it, you just display the this one, the segment subtotal. Wherever you see false, these up to this, right? Up to this, it is not giving you the subtotal. Okay, and here what happens is for each region, all the three segment, in each segment, how much orders we received, how many orders we received, it displays that, it counts and it gives us. At the end of it, it gives us the subtotal. It takes each and every region. In Oceania, all these three orders, all these three segments put together, how many number of orders we received it in total. All these three segments put together, how many number of orders we received it in each region. That subtotal it gives us. The reason why I have used the each subtotal is it gives us the Boolean value, false. So with that, we should be able to understand, hey, is this a subtotal? No, it is false. It is not a subtotal. It's not a subtotal. It gives me the number of orders by segment, by region. Fine. So each region, in each segment, how many number of orders we received it gives me. And at the end of it, so right, you will find a true here. Okay, that means this is related to subtotal. These records are related to subtotal. In each region, and total, all the three segments put together, how many number of orders we executed, right? How many number of orders we executed, that is the one. And then finally it gives the grand total. This is subtotal, grand total. Got it? So now, the same thing, the syntax is the same thing. First, in the summarize function, you need to specify the table, which table you want to perform this operation. You need to tell, right? And the next one is the roller. In the roller, which column you wanted to do group by, region and segment, I want to do the group by, and then followed by this, the count function I use it. Count is also an aggregated function, right? So the count, how many number of orders, right? For this, I give some meaningful column, row count. How many number of rows are there, in each segment, in each region, okay? And then each subtotal is for our verification. So where the subtotal starts, if you scroll down and wherever you find the true, right? So where the true starts, from there the subtotal. So here we have close to 10. Let's assume that 10 regions are there. Each region, the total number of orders we received it, and then all this it does the total says, right? Grand total. It gives me the grand total also. That is the idea of this one. The script I will give you. You can also try it out. Install the DAX Studio. Connect to your. What you do is simple thing. Be smart. Okay, and you just I will share this file. Download it, and then what it is, install DAX Studio, and then connect it there, and then you do it. So in this case, what happened? Look here in the summarize function. You need to click on it. You get this one. You just simply copy and then paste it here. Right, so you paste it here. But once you paste it, you don't need this thing, or on the left side you don't need it. Just keep the right side of the equal sign, you need to keep it. And then you need to enclose this DAX query by your evaluate, because in the case of DAX query, DAX Studio, if you want to execute your DAX commands or queries, right, so you need to enclose this one by the evaluate function. If I say function, the function should start, you need to, the function name, right, followed by the function name, open parenthesis, and you need to specify the closed parenthesis. You need to wrap your DAX query with the evaluate function, and then click on run. Even this script also I will share it to you guys. You just, try it out. Okay, now you understood what is summarize, what is a roll up, how we can use a roll up along with summarize. The next one is the summarize columns. So what I do is I just copy paste the same thing to save time, and then what I do is I just Here, I use the summarize columns instead of summarize columns. Look here, it gives us the syntax. The summarize columns, group by column name, and then you need to specify the column name here. As the name suggests, summarize columns, right? It accepts the first argument as the columns. Okay, in this case, you need to specify. You don't have to specify the table name. Summarize, you have to specify the table name. Whereas summarize columns, you don't have to specify the table name as an argument. The first argument, or the first argument should be your group by column name. Okay, and then what I do is here I just say sales by region. I'm going to use the sumX function. SumX is an iterating function, right? So row by row operation also you can specify. Since it's an iterating function, the first argument of your iterating function is your table. So in the interval, they'll ask you, what are the X functions that you used it? X functions is nothing but SumX, average X, and count X. These are called your X function. Okay, it is also called as an iterating function. And the next one is let's say, list price. Do we have the sales W0, comma, the sales W04? And here do I have, yeah, list price is there, good. And into the quantity. That's it. Just select this, press F5. Super, right? So it gives me the sales by region. What happens is it iterates row by row. Each and every row it iterates in your data set. So each row, right, it takes the list price and then multiply the quantity. And then what happens is it iterates each and every row. And then it does the group by on the region. Okay, each region, what is the total sales? That is what we can see it in this case, summarize columns. And also you can see some sample one. Anyhow, I'll give you some assignments. Don't worry, okay? Otherwise, you will not be able to think outside the box. Okay. Look here, the summarize columns. Here, the first category column and then education column, they used it for a group by. Okay. And then the filter. So for this customer, each right with the group by their education and the category. What is the sales here? They want to see it here. Okay. Or they want to summarize group by column, contain column which is impacted by the filter, and filter is applied to group by results. Okay, here this is how they are using it. Summarize column. Look here, summarize columns. They did not use any sum function there. Look here they are using sum function. This is an aggregation function. Usually in the summarize and summarize columns, we use the aggregation function, sum or average or count. Okay, and remember that the summarize columns function will not work with the direct query mode. Right, so I just check here direct query mode. See, the summarize column is not supported for use in direct query mode. When used in calculate column row level security, you need to remember this one, okay? At least few functions, if you remember it, that is enough, okay? So these are the few examples, right? Can help you an idea, or to give you an idea how you can create, how you can use the summarize and summarize columns function, roll-up functions. With the help of roll-up functions, right, we are able to produce the subtotal for the grouped columns, and with the summarize function we can do this simple group by. Okay, and in the case of summarize function, the first argument we used it as a table, and then followed with it we specify the column which we wanted to group by. So region column we used it to group by. Look here, I'm just summarizing it. Look here, we group by column name, and then simply this is the aggregation function, sum in this case. Okay, and then you can do it. So along with that, if you wanted to have something like the average sales in each region, average sales, we can, instead of using the boring sum function all the time, you can use average sales W04 and sales. You can use it this way also. Okay, here it is giving some error. What is that error? Average, yeah, here I did not close this with the proper thing, square bracket and this one, right? Now, no error. Look here, when you get error, don't panic, okay? And you just see where you made a mistake, and it gives you some clue here, okay? And then results. Region, total sales, and then average sales. Don't panic when you get error, okay? Don't break your table and all, okay? So results, you get the errors, total sales, average sales and all, okay? So this is your average sales, fine. You can use a round function also here, right? So that you can round it to 2 decimal or something like that, okay? So you got it right. So how to use summarize function? What is the difference between summarize and summarize columns? And the summarize columns, we have some other examples here, right? So we have seen the columns like sales store ID and sales store ID. These are the 2 columns, right? A column cannot be specified more than once in the group by. Yeah, this is the one you need to remember it. Same column, you cannot use it. Okay, this is invalid. This function does not guarantee any sort order of the results. Okay, ascending or descending, right? It will not give, right? So, but what you do is you can go and click on the output here. When you click on here, it will display the ascending or descending order. Okay, something like that. And then in the visual, so in the case of Power Query Editor, in the visual, you can go, for example, here I have created the table here, the summarize EX1, and go to the data view, and then select the summarize summarize EX1. Okay. And here, if you see here you can do the sorting, like in Excel we do, right? Sort descending and all, you can do it here. So either you can execute the query in DAX Studio. The advantage of this one is you can go and check how much time it takes to execute this queries and all. You can see it. For example, I just select it one more time and then IFI. Look here, it gives me everything. Look here, the formula engine takes 17 million seconds. The storage engine queries takes 6 million seconds, and storage engine cache takes to cache the data, 6 seconds. Okay, 6 milliseconds. And if you scroll on the right side, right, so here you will find the query generator. Look here, the query also got generated, the SQL query, the corresponding SQL query. And when you click on this, you can see the query. Select segment, region. These 2 columns I have used it, right? Segment and region column I used it. And what we do is we are doing count from sales W04 where the order ID is not null. Look here, this is a smart way of learning SQL query. Okay, so the corresponding SQL query also generated here. And if you see here, and you can see the estimated size, okay, bytes, how much bytes it required in the memory and all, it gives you everything. Okay, left outer join, sales W0. So look here, it is doing the complex thing here, left outer join on. Anyhow, we will, let's not look at this, not this one. And then if you click on the query plan, the corresponding, this one, you can see the query plan. This query plan and server timings, we will explain it, later after I finish these things. A lot of things are there. Now it is 10 o'clock. Now we will jump into. So far you learned about the summary function, summarize function, summarize columns function, and then in the summarize function, how to use roll-up function. That one is the roll-up function. It gives you the grand total. The subtotal, right? Subtotal. The roll-up function. The advantage of the roll-up function, it gives us the subtotal. Okay, and then what we did, we have explored the summarize columns. That's all.